Greetings, everybody out there at Internet Land. My name is Troy Bernier, and this is the Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival. And here we are today with an exciting discussion from a filmmaker who's not just a sci-fi filmmaker, but also a fantasy filmmaker. This guy has produced something that is on the scale of Road Warrior versus Mandalorian. Okay, we're talking something totally out of this world. His film is called Pinwheel Horizon. And here we have Brooklyn Murphy joining in with us. How you doing, Brooklyn?
Hey, bro. Hey, Troy. How you doing? Streaming live from Miami, Florida. Nice and sunny here. Nice and sunny.
Tranquilo.
And we are so excited to have Ian, Pinwheel Horizon. Very cool film. Very cool film. And we have Ian.
Thank you so much, Troy and Brooklyn. It's great to be with you both.
Thank you. We're honored. We are really honored. Your film was really cool. I have so many questions to ask you. So tell us about, who are you? Professional background.
What's your
synopsis?
Yeah. So Pinwheel Horizon is my third short I wrote and directed. My first was an Arabic language narrative short film based in the Middle East. Very political, very topical for the time, like a war on terror film about drones and militants. Ooh. And since that time, I've been surprised how much genre has either crept into my stories or completely taken them over and run away with it. My second one was called The Devil Needs a Fix. It was, my version on that film Under the Skin from Jonathan Glazer, that great sci-fi piece with Scarlett.
I saw that. Oh, with Scarlett Johansson, that one.
Oh, such a great film. It's kind of that meets early David Mamet. And and then my third is obviously Pinwheel Horizon. And I find that I being 45, I miss the kind of tactile genre stuff that at least I grew up on. Films like The Abyss, Star Trek, early by release Star Wars. My big kind of conviction is the human experience is tactile and lived in. And so I really nerd out at the idea of doing things that are minimalist, where there's a lot of space for the audience to fill in their own imagination. I think we used to be better collectively at doing that. Now it's a lot of stuff too noisy. So Pinwheel Horizon was an opportunity to do something kind of spacious and tactile, where hopefully if it succeeds, we invite the audience in to lend their imagination to the framework we have. And then also, because you've seen it, we have really sweaty, dirty warriors. This is not a clean, pristine world at all. It hopefully feels as relatable as it can, although it's set on a different planet.
Right.
Yeah. Planet Yiv.
Planet Yiv.
Planet Yiv. I love that. Planet Yiv.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
asking where you studied filmmaking and.
Boy, I heard you say Miami, and I am in the opposite corner in Seattle. And I've been
cold.
Yeah, I'm looking out at gray skies right now. So I have been here my whole life. I studied film at Seattle Film Institute. Back then it was literally a house on the backside of Seattle, and it was sort of an evening program. And my story is kind of a lot of people that I've heard where that was great, and I definitely learned things, but it was like making crappy action movies in high school with my friends using literally making our versions of Star Trek movies using ketchup for blood and creating films. That's kind of where I figured out what I was into. And
now we do corn syrup.
right. And that was kind of teens and 20s. And then I had written screenplays and fallen out of love with trying the kind of query lettered LA approach. Came back in my 30s and thought, I've never written a short film. So that was From the Sky. And since then have made the 3 short films. And again, I'm as surprised as anyone to find we sometimes have this idea in our head. It's funny. I think Pinwheel Horizon is actually kind of about identity and how we make peace with things not turning out like we hoped. We have an association of the way it needs to be, and then it's not reaction. That way. So I like to fancy myself serious and this but the truth is, I just, even the thing I'd like to direct next, the feature is kind of an all-out, unapologetic ghost story. So I just keep coming. I feel like I keep getting seduced by genre, and that it's a really nice companion for my kind of writing.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit. What is Pinwheel Horizon about?
That's a good question. I wrote it after my dad passed away in 2019. He was Washington State's first liver transplant, which my brother and I learned at the funeral from his doctor. Wow. And as you can imagine, like, doctors don't do a lot of funerals, which he joked here. And so he was sick for 30 years. And my wife asked me after his passing, like, what does it feel like? And I had this image in my head of these three warriors coming up over a hill, and that there would be somebody like Batman's Alfred sitting, a very British proper person sitting in the middle of the desert at like a table with like a decree, and they're ready for this big crescendo, and they don't get it. And I thought, because I'm always, maybe with my ADHD, I'm always like coloring outside the lines or looking for the untraditional narrative. I thought it was really interesting. Well, I don't want to watch something else about winning, and I don't even really want them to lose. What happens if like the rug is pulled out from under them? That sounds really interesting. And that felt like the way it felt with my dad. I think I was looking for, he and I were polite, but I was looking for some catharsis in his passing that I didn't find. And again, as we've been talking about genre, just the best way to describe that was not like writing a PhD dissertation on it. It was like, I don't know, it would kind of be on like three warriors on another planet. So it was like a nice way to explore it. And then I was thinking of documentaries like Lessons in Darkness from Werner Herzog. How he kind of wrestles with this idea that if we make something our identity and it goes away, we will sort of, sometimes to our own tragedy, like recreate it over and over. We will not be able to let it go.
True.
So, me being like the armchair psychologist, just meaning I have an interest in it, that sounded super juicy to tell a story about. And then I was like, well, let's just have fun and like, not do the bronze-chested guy, almost play against that. And so I think it was my dad's passing, but it was probably a lot of like, entering midlife, reevaluating things of like, because we all take knocks on the head and we have to kind of make peace with it. So it's exploring that, hopefully in like a colorful way.
Yeah, and how do you want your film to impact people? Like, what do you want them to take away from it?
That's a really good question. I mean, for me, I think that the film's theme is kind of pointing toward accepting what is, even if what is not what we hoped for. And I think in the case of Sira, our protagonist, and Eru, who is one of the three warriors, we see very different reactions to the rug being pulled out. And I think the film is ultimately sort of inviting the audience to that sort of tightrope of accepting the reality that's in front of us. And because in the language of warriors, finding the nobility in that, I thought there was, and that was challenging myself. I rely on dialogue too much. So the ending of this film has a very visual way of showing what I thought was Sira sort of accepting the loss of identity and mission and belonging and making peace. And I think sometimes that can be a really good message.
Yeah, well, I love that line where she, where they meet the migrants, and then he immediately just wants to kill them, and he thinks they're hostile, and she's like, "You're not going to do anything." He's like, "Why?" And she says something like, "Until you know the difference between who's hostile and who's not, and they're clearly not." A simple little family is not threatening us, and he just wanted to like kill them because he didn't know the difference.
That makes me so happy that you pointed that out. Stephen, who plays Aru, who is our bronze,
good actor.
He's so good.
Really well cast.
Oh, thank you. He was in my other two shorts, that is definitely Lessons of Darkness from Werner Herzog. There, me kind of distilling that as best I can to say, if everything is whatever the hammer and nail, if all you have is a hammer, then everything's a nail. And then
that's a good
little bit of that as we're talking about, Star Trek and how we can't help but get some of the contemporary politics into our stories. There's a little bit of me winking at
with the migrant thing.
Yeah, at current things, which it's surprising how much it's become almost on the nose. I thought I was being a little more clever, but it's really like an actual thing right now.
Yeah, it is. Is this the most challenging film that you've made?
I have since finished my first feature, and it's hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I will say, of the 3 shorts, absolutely. And I can't imagine making a short film that I'm more proud of or that was harder to pull off than Pinwheel Horizon. The only reason I hesitate is because, by definition, a feature is everything times 10. But as a short film, I'm so proud of what the team pulled together to do, and it was incredibly hard.
Yeah, I love the costumes too. Where did you shoot this?
Believe it or not, because as someone who needs, blue sky and sun, like you enjoy Miami, I kind of tool around in Eastern Washington. If you take the mountains, it'll lead to something. If you look in remote areas, looking kind of like the poster that Troy has up. So this is shot in 2 areas in Eastern Washington. The sandy stuff was called Juniper Dunes, and that actually took us kind of like the line from the Blair Witch movie, which I always loved, where one of them says you can't get lost in America, and in the era of GPS, it took us about 3 tries to find one of 3 sand dunes in Washington State, and we almost flipped our rental truck even locating it. And that was, as hard one. I had written in the script Crater, obviously, that migrant scene, and was just slowly realizing I wrote myself into a corner. You're not going to find a crater until we find Juniper Dunes, and we walk up over, and there was just this couldn't have been better kind of Martian bowl where we filmed. And then the second location that is this poster here and the more rocky stuff, kind of for like the bottom of Act 2, is called Sun Falls Dry Lakes, and it's a state park about an hour and a half away from Juniper Dunes. So both Eastern Washington, this rocky stuff kind of being in the center of the state, and then the sandy stuff being kind of bordering Idaho and Oregon.
God, I would have never guessed that. I thought maybe you drove down to California or somewhere.
Yeah. No, we were so fortunate.
Yeah, looked like was it really hot?
Oh yeah. So
was it? Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So it was. I'm the person who gets sliced in the opening battle, which was a good learning experience.
Okay.
Because it's day 1, shot 1, and it's in my memory. I hope I'm not exaggerating. Like 95 out, and I'm wearing all black. I haven't been on set in a few years. There's wind and sand, and
oh gosh, I love that.
Really, cool. Really intense. And I just personally find acting and directing impossible. I know some people can do it, but I don't know how to have that split between my brain. So once I was done getting killed off by Sierra, I felt much better just being back in writer-director mode. But yeah, it was in the sand in the 90s. I mean, we had something like approaching sandstorms at times. Actually, this shot right here that you just showed, Troy, Cassie, our lead, does CrossFit, and she's just an incredibly durable human being.
Yeah, she looked like it.
Put all the rest of us to shame. And in that shot where she's up on the rim, and we're filming her reaction while Aru's starting to like do whatever he wants and like defy the chain of command. I mean, she was such a trooper, but she's kind of batting her eyes and like trying to get through her takes, and we're just getting sandblasted. And then when we got to here, the Sun Falls Dry Lakes, it looks better on screen than it was. We had like, they were wearing blankets between takes, and we had drizzle. It's nice. My cinematographer, Haley Watson, thank goodness for her. I mean, she kind of captured all this connective tissue that helped us stitch us together. And she grabs this really ominous dark cloud moving in that we use in the film. So it justified the change in weather. But when we weren't in the sand, it was actually pretty cold a few days later.
I love this guy's costume. That was just so interesting and good color choice.
It's so fun. Melita Buckstaff was listening in on my first meeting with my production designer, Aaron O'Kay. She designs costumes for Pacific Northwest Ballet, like a very prestigious Wesca. To my memory, I don't think she's ever done film, and she throws out, I'd be kind of interested in doing this. She sends me her portfolio, and like my jaw hit the floor, and she's since gone on to win. Like you were saying, I think she's next level. And the nice thing too, in some of these films, things tend to look flat, which tends to look cheap. And that was like my one kind of gut conviction was, Melita, can you please just make it look thick? Make the costumes look thick. And they look so, it just kind of settles my stomach of like, it looks thick and layered, you know, whether it's like the migrants at the bottom of the quote unquote class status or the notary ambassador at the top, wherever they are in that pecking order in that world, it still looks like real lived in clothes and not kind of fabric store 101. So,
so how have other festivals received your film? What kind of feedback are you getting?
It's been really positive, but it was very delayed. We, I think all of us filmmakers are sort of understandably biased to what we make. And as you asked earlier, Brooklyn, this one was so hard. And with the pandemic, we barely pulled it off. There was like a very narrow window between too cold to shoot in the desert or too hot. So once we did it, I was just, I love it. It's my favorite of my 3 shorts. And I really thought, you're welcome, world. And then we had about 70 plus rejections in a row. So and my first 2 shorts did good. So I ate a lot of humble pie. And after those 70 rejections, I think it was last March when we got started at Omaha Film Festival. And since then it's having one currently, including playing MiSciFi, it's having kind of one of its 2 moments where, before we put it online this summer, it seems to be kind of everywhere lately. So it's doing really well, but I had to sit around and watch the air not move through those 70 rejections.
Wow. Yeah, being in film business, whether you're a writer or filmmaker, actor, which is my background, you got a alligator skin.
That's
you really
right.
do. You got to build those scales up and just got to keep on trucking if that's your passion, which it obviously is since your childhood. So.
I was baffled. I thought we had done. I loved what Troy said at the beginning, Road Warrior. These kind of comparables, and it's like I think we've done something with an aesthetic that's really fresh, but you just never know the variables on the other end. So I was depressed, and then when it started getting traction, I've been really gratified because to your question of Brooklyn, if it was hard, it was. But what makes me really happy about this is. It was an ambitious film, but I feel like all of the struggle is on the screen. That's really nice. It doesn't feel small to me. It feels like, all the locations we fought for or the weather we fought through really like supports the story. So, and I also feel like it's, kind of in the best way, genuinely not mine. It feels like such a great set piece for so many cast and crew.
So real quick, can we show the trailer really quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
Here we go.
Victory is on the horizon. Right, Sira?
Sweet. Very nice.
Nice score. The score is really nice. I like those.
We have about 2 minutes left.
Oh, yeah. Anything else, Troy, you want to add?
When you were talking about the landscape, that all of that dark rock that's there, I think that's all volcanic. That's those massive lava flows that covered most of the state.
That's what I thought.
Wow. I wouldn't have known that. It's a good kind of otherworldly look.
Yeah, it's you picked actually one of the few places in the country that that look like this, and it's a rare place. Not many people shoot films out there for whatever the reason, but I think it's extremely exotic and it should be used more often. So that was one thing that really caught my eye, as well as your practice.
That caught your eye. That makes me really happy to hear.
The last question that I had, which I think we have time for, is Star Trek, Star Wars, or both?
It's the standard final question for everyone.
It's a great question. Today I'm gonna go. Here, hold on a second.
Oh, he's gonna pull it out of his hat.
I'm gonna go Star Trek.
Oh, there you go.
We got Q here, and we have Picard.
He's a Picard fan. There we go.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
just
next
stole
generation
Troy's heart.
is about as good as it gets. So for today, I think I'll say Star Trek.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Good choice. Good choice.
Classic. He's a classic man.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna get one more film out of him before it's done.
Yes, because I see this one as like a TV series. I wanted to see, like, when they put their scarves on the sword at the end, I'm like, oh my God, now what's going to happen? Like, where are they going to go? Like, where's...
That's so nice to hear. We would love, we
I
never
could see that as a TV series. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We would
totally
love to expand it. I never had the hook until we were almost finished in post-production, but now I'm like,
yeah, you got the hook right there. Yep, please do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'm so excited to talk to you both.
Thank
and have
you,
this
Ian.
in
Yes,
MiSciFi. I wish I could join you all this weekend, but we're going to keep spreading the word, and it's a huge honor to be included.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you both.
All right. Bye for now.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.